And look, it can be difficult dealing with an aggressive spouse. It seems like the more aggressive they get, the more hurtful you can feel. Well, if that's you or someone you know, you don't want to miss this episode.
Couples Pursuit.
Hello, this is Vincent
and Valerie
Woodard. And on this episode of Couples Pursuit,
we're going to talk about 7 tips for communicating with an aggressive spouse.
That is so good. Look, wow. If that's you or someone you know, like I said before, it can be a very challenging situation. And it seems like you're getting to a conversation with someone or your spouse, and the more angry or aggressive they get, the more angry you get. You want to snap back. You want to, go at them. You want to give it to them back sometimes. Or sometimes you just shocked like a deer in headlights. You don't really know what to do because where's all this anger coming from? Well, in the previous video, we discussed the 4 types. Well, not the 4, but there are 4 types of communication, and there are passive types of styles. Yeah, there are passive aggressive, and assertive. And I'll link to that video somewhere around here. And if you're listening on the podcast or the radio show, you can go to our website at couplespursuit.com and /videos, and you can see all our videos there. But we define, or it was defined, the aggressive communication style as this. It's emphasized by speaking in a loud and demanding voice, maintaining intense eye contact, and dominating or controlling others by blaming. That sounds like an aggressive spouse.
Yeah, that's pretty aggressive. That's pretty aggressive.
So if you find yourself in that situation, baby, that is a place to be, right? I mean,
listen, it is a place to be, but I also would like to say that there is hope for the aggressive spouse, and there's hope for the person who is on the other end of that aggression. And what we want to share with you today are tips about how to manage that situation. Ultimately, the goal is that you're able to overcome the stumbling block or the obstacle of ineffective communication, because aggression is not an effective way of communicating. No one deserves to be yelled at, to be demeaned, talked down to, controlled, manipulated. And sometimes the person who is on the receiving end of the aggression may or may not be, quote unquote, guilty of whatever action they're being accused of, or the reason that the person may give for being aggressive. They may respond in anger. They may feel tense or ashamed, embarrassed, especially if these behaviors occur in front of someone else. And even worse, your children. But they also may not show signs of anger or retaliation. They may be a completely different type of communicator, and it causes them to go inward. Maybe they're quiet. They don't say anything at all. And so I want to caution you that if you are the aggressive spouse, be aware that even if your spouse doesn't say anything, that it affects them in such a way that's deteriorating to the relationship. And if your spouse is fighting back with you and you use that as fuel for the fire, the responsibility of the two is to manage the relationship in a healthy, sustainable way. And just know that something has to change.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And the tips that we're going to give, strategies, you can use all 7, try them. I'll go down the line, and if that doesn't work, or maybe it works some, but you're still dealing with some issues, try another one. All 7 you might not have to use, but it's good to at least know them so you can apply them when needed, because you're married. This is your partner. This is your spouse. You want to be in a happy marriage, I believe. And if you do desire for that to happen, it's work. It requires work on both parts. it's amazing how even in Genesis, we teach relationship advice and marriage advice from a biblical principles, because that's what saved us. I can't tell you really a lot other than what has helped us. But even in the Bible, they told us, God said that a man should leave his mother and father and shall cleave or hold fast to his wife. It's work. That word cleave is not just like a meat cleaver or something. It's actual work on the person's part. Something you have to work at. You know what interesting, baby? Another word for cleave is actually to pursue.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so couples pursuit, that's what we do. We're trying to give you, foundations to help you out in this matter. So one of the first tips is to set boundaries and remind your partner of your goals. I urge you to, first of all, have the conversation. If you don't have a goal, you don't have visions, you don't have things that you are both working towards the marriage, it's going towards a place. I urge you to first sit down and have that conversation in a calm, relaxed manner. But also within that, because there are going to be some times, there are going to be some obstacles, there are going to be things you have to overcome. You have to set boundaries for when the disagreements might come, or when the hiccups might come. Set some boundaries. You cannot just spaz off at me and then ask me to cook dinner.
Or expect
me, yes.
Expect me even if you
I guess
don't
you can't ask, but expect. Yeah, you can, or have intimacy with me. At first, you just didn't even want to touch me, didn't even really want to look at me. But now you're trying to get some. But it's boundaries. Sit down and have a conversation and say, look, this is what I do not like it, and it's you. I do not like it when this happens and this happens and this happens. What can we do? And goals. What are we working towards? What my vision, your vision is should be our vision, and what are we working towards? Because you're on the same team, you root for each other.
Right. And that's a good thing to say, because we're not enemies, and when we disagree, disagreement is opportunity for understanding. Okay, and that is when we do communicate effectively. A disagreement is an opportunity for understanding, and often we think it's an opportunity, or it's an obstacle, or it is a something that's automatically going to lead to a fight or an argument, and it doesn't have to be that way. We have to learn how to respect one another's opinion, thoughts, and feelings, and the right to express them. And the right to be heard without being shut down, without being commanded and demanded to do certain things that you may not agree with. And it is important that we do set those boundaries. And that we don't make excuses to cross the boundary, because it's one thing to set it and then say, well, I know, but it's off the table. The gloves are off because you said or did this or that. It's like, no, you honor one another, honor the contract that you have made with one another. It's important to do that. It's
a covenant vow. It's something that you made to each other in the presence of God, and now here goes the work.
Yeah.
This is it.
Here's the better or worse.
We speak about from courtship to covenant to commitment. That's just our area that we cover, because we know there's people who are thinking about getting married, not just dating and having fun, flinging, whatever, but they're actually courting, looking to get married. There's no people that are freshly married, newlyweds, or been married 5 years or less, and they're still trying to figure this thing out. Like I was practicing on my wife when we first got married, because I didn't know. And then there's this commitment part, the fact we said, you know what, we're going to stay together. Yes, hard time came, that was hard, that was difficult, what we went through, but I'm committed. And the commitment phase is when we're going to work this out. And that's where we want to really help you to get to that phase right there, because if you could make it through all that and you're still here in a relationship, why not have fun? Why not enjoy each other.
Right. We are meant to enjoy one another, to have friendship, intimacy, connection, growth. And, if there is aggression present, that's going to dig into different areas of your life that will impede all of those other areas. Not to mention, it affects the dynamics of your home. Again, especially if you have children. If there is aggression in the air, in the atmosphere, it doesn't just affect your spouse, but it affects your household as well.
True. Number two is seek outside help. And that could be anyone that can give you good foundation advice. We offer coaching and consultation. You can go on our website and look where I can leave a link below where we offer a free consultation. Then after that, we offer to work with you if we're the right people and help you in that area. But there are also a number of other people, other counselors, therapists that you can go to. And I urge you to actually have the conversation before one person is like, nobody ain't all up in my business, but what's the business? Let's talk about the business that you don't want people in. And if we can fix it, okay. But if we can't, can we agree to at least have it open that maybe we need to talk to someone?
Yes, consider that, it may sound simple, elementary, but if you broke your arm or leg, you would go to the doctor. You wouldn't say, I don't need anybody to fix my arm or leg. I can do it myself. Sure, maybe you could set it, wrap it into it, but you couldn't do what could be done for you by the physicians, the ones that were trained to do it. And it is not, it shouldn't be a shameful thing for you to receive help. And as a matter of fact, these are the conversations when we talk about courtship, these are the conversations that should be had in the beginning, because when you're courting, you don't necessarily see all of the signs, because most of that courtship is going to be pleasant. There's some circumstances where people have, volatile relationships from courtship through marriage. Surely that exists, but most of the time when two people get married, it's because they want to get married. They want to be with one another. And during that time, some people say you see the representative, the best representation of that person. You're often trying to please each other, spend time together, things like that. And so the hard things don't come up necessarily in the forefront. But be sure that life happens and those hard times are going to come. So you need to agree during that courtship phase, how do we handle conflict? What is acceptable and what's not acceptable? And don't take advantage of one another. If you know that one person is going to, if I raise my voice, he or she is going to back down. And so I'm just going to raise my voice. If I say, X, Y, Z, I know that's going to shut them down, hurt their feelings. And so then I can that's an escape for me. That's selfish and it's immature.
Yes.
And so agree to those boundaries prior to marriage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And a side note, this wasn't even in my notes, but when we said this, is that I knew I would use my voice to maybe stop the conversation. Like, I don't want to talk about this, and I'm not doing that, and I know you're saying this, but this is not happening. So rah 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 and rah rah rah, and I was like, okay, well that normally backs her off of me, because she doesn't like to be yelled at, she doesn't like to be talked over, and all that and all those things. But it was interesting. She used to get like emotional and like, I don't understand. But she started getting quiet. She started getting silent. That wasn't the reaction I thought that was going to happen. And so it was like, wow, okay, wait a minute now.
What's this? This is not how this dance goes.
What's that? Eddie Murphy skit, he was like, his mom told me, you just go to sleep. Told Gus, you just go to sleep.
Go to sleep.
No, she didn't do that, but I'm saying that it wasn't, the person thought, okay, if I do this, they'll get off of me. But you're still there. You're like,
Yeah, wow. You bring up a good point, because I was, especially in the early years, I was very reactive to your behavior, to your way of handling your anger, irritation. And I remember the very first time, I don't know if you'll remember this, but you came to visit me and I wasn't home. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I was. He was so mad.
That's a 2.5 hour drive.
He was so angry. I missed time when he would be there, and I'm out hanging with my aunt and our mutual friend, and I'm just talking, and we're talking about him and how excited I am about the relationship. You know, I think I'm in love, blah, 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 blah. Meantime, he's already in town, 2.5 hours out, and I go to the house, and he's like fuming. And this is the first time I ever remember seeing him angry. And because I had done something to make him angry, my response was, oh, wow. First, I apologized, but that didn't change his demeanor. And he was just sitting on the couch. I'm like, he drove this far just to sit here and be mad with me? And I told him, I said, you know what? I'm gonna give you some space. I'm gonna leave and just let you cool down. Wrong. I apologized. Okay? Have your moment to be angry. And then let's just move past it. It shouldn't be anger punishment. You know, you're going to feel the wrath. And people can do that without saying anything. And I think I had to learn how to... It was jolting for me because I hadn't really experienced that before. And I had to learn how to manage what his emotions... how they affected me. And for a while I was quiet and I didn't understand it, and I would jump through hoops and go, well, no, I didn't really do anything. Why is he so angry? And I would just try to talk to him, and it would make me upset. And then I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter what I do. This is just the way he is. And either I want to deal with it or I don't. Now, I don't want to just get a divorce because it's for better or worse. You know, all those things. You don't just jump
we're
ship.
Married now. You're talking about it continued on until we got married. We were dating at that time.
We were dating at that time. And it wasn't...
I was courting. She was probably dating.
No, you didn't say that.
I knew
No. When you met me, I was celibate. I was courting. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, we've gotten off track. So...
Can we go? We're going to give ourselves a trouble.
Turn it back. Let's put the car back on the road.
Let me go.
So anyway, yes, we learned over the years how to communicate. And I mentioned I didn't just say, well, I want a divorce or I'm going to leave because I don't like the way he talks to me. We needed to communicate through that. And then, you know, we tried that. I tried that for a long time. And it didn't work until I finally said, you know what? I'm not going to do this anymore. Something is going to have to change. I got real quiet and I started praying, like for real. And I was like, okay, God, it's in your hands.
Amen. Yeah. So, seek outside help. That was 2. 3 is use iMessages. I'm not talking about your iPhone.
The letter I.
Yeah, the letter I. I'm talking about
my I.
Yes, when something, you know, hurts is something that you experience from your spouse. It's easy to say, well, you did this, because you did that, I'm gonna do this, and because you did that, this is what's gonna happen. And because, you know, it's like, look, I'm hurt. I just wanted to let you know that I'm having a hard time dealing with blah blah blah. You know.
Yeah.
It's kind of diffuses the situation, and it kind of focuses so much on the matter and not so much on the blame of, you know, you're doing this and you're making me this and you're making me angry. But iMessages, you know, start a sentence off, and this can be difficult because sometimes you can perceive that it wasn't my fault. You know, I should have to be tiptoeing around and stuff like that. Well, look, my wife says this a lot, and I should have wrote it down on here. But you said it's not about who's right; it's about what's right. And what's right is that we want to get through this situation that we're in. They're being aggressive, they're being loud, they're being blah, blah, whatever. And we need to hold on. We need to first talk about that, and then talk about it in a manner where I'm not saying everything is your fault. but I'm experiencing something,
right?
And I don't like it.
I don't like what I'm feeling, what I'm hearing, and also when this happens, I feel this way. You know, not you make me feel like such and such. When you yell, it makes me uneasy. You know, and then what would an aggressive person likely say to that? Well, you shouldn't such and such and such. Well, if I have upset you, I would like you to tell me, and then we can talk about what I've done, and maybe, you know, we can find a solution to that. But it is not okay for you to raise your voice. To me, it's not okay for you to talk to me like that. And if you're going to speak to me that way, we're not going to have a discussion. When you can talk to me calmly and respectfully, then, you know, I'm willing to discuss whatever the issues are. I care about your feelings, and I want to make sure that I always respect you and honor you, but I need that in return. And
that leads to number 4 is to validate their feelings. Is to say, you know what? I know you're angry. I know you're upset. I know you're mad. But we can't continue down this line right here, where you spaz out, where you get mad, you rah-rah, you get all your emotions, put them in a ball and throw them at me. You can't.
Right.
We can't continue. I hear you. I know you're upset. I know you're mad. I'm validating your feelings. Got that. But let's both agree that we cannot continue.
It's not healthy.
This is not healthy for our marriage.
and you know, before, as you said, when a husband leaves his father and mother and he cleaves unto his wife, the word also says that the two become one, right?
One flesh, yeah.
So would you take a hammer, a bat, or all your emotions and ball them up and hit yourself with them?
Nope.
Right? So whatever you wouldn't do to yourself, you shouldn't do to your spouse, because even though we're sitting here and we're obviously two different people, we are one person. We're one.
That's right.
We're one. We're united. We're individual. We have individual purpose, individual call, individual ideas. I would say mindset, but I guess that's not true, because we have put on the mind of Christ and we share that. But, you know, we are still one.
That's our connector, yeah.
Yeah, God is our connector, and we, you know, bound ourselves together voluntarily in marriage. And when we have a disagreement, it is like a person taking a weapon and beating themselves. If you saw someone out in the street hitting themselves, you call the police, right? Or you call the ambulance or somebody. Something is wrong. So it's the same thing. If the only way to express yourself is to demean and disrespect your partner, then you need to seek some help with how to manage your emotions, whether they're right, wrong, or whatever. We have to have control, responsibility for the way that we behave. And
behavior, speaking of behavior, our number 6 tip or strategy is to keep calm and negotiate.
Yeah.
I know you said, what's this, a terrorist? No. But it's an event that's happening that needs our attention, and we have to handle it sometimes in a delicate manner. And we have to keep our peace, you know. We have to, because if we add to the fire just becomes bigger.
Right.
You know, we keep throwing, especially when we get defensive. And it's easy to do that. I'm not blaming like you for feeling that way,
right.
But to act it out,
how
like to say, no, you are not gonna, you don't do this, I didn't do that, and you're not gonna keep talking to me like, okay, all right, calm down. Let's calm down. Let's calm down. And I know you're saying, well, why do I have to calm down? We're talking about how to deal with an aggressive partner. They're the ones being aggressive. Why do I have to keep calm and negotiate? Like we said before, it's not about who's right, it's about what's right. How can we get to a place where we can actually have the conversation about whatever we were supposed to be talking about? You know, let's get back to that. That was, our issues so much. We used to argue so much about how to argue. My wife was like, no, first of all, you don't know.
Don't talk to me like that. No, it's not going to happen because for me, it was like, and I think for many people, male and female, it's like, well, wait a minute. I understand that you're upset, but you being upset doesn't give you the right to tear me down. So we can't even talk about what the problem is until you figure out that you coming at me the wrong way. Don't speak to me like that.
That's right.
And then what would happen, because boundaries weren't set in the beginning, then the argument becomes about that. Well, if you weren't doing such and such and such, I wouldn't talk to you that way.
Exactly.
Oh, so now I deserve to be talked to like that. And so then it completely, what are we arguing? What are we fighting about? I don't know. The way you talk to me.
Yeah, 'cause we shouldn't ignore the fact that, look, you're yelling and your anger I see it on your face. You just emoting all on me. No, we're not ignoring that. No. But we're trying to get back to a place. Remember, 7 tips of dealing with an aggressive partner. So number 6 is we're trying to get back to the place where, okay, we were talking about why you never know what you want for dinner. I don't know. You shouldn't be arguing about that.
Never know what I want for dinner.
But it's we're trying to get back to the place and calmness also can mean sometimes, okay, maybe this is a good time to shut this down right now and take a breath. Like my wife said, she looked at me and she was like, okay, maybe I wanted to say, maybe you just need a break. She didn't leave and walk away, but she was like, I know she wanted to say, you need to calm down. And I don't know if I'm here, it seems like you're just going to get angrier and angrier. So something needs to happen. And so we have to be calm and negotiate. Now, first of all, we can have this conversation without extra volume, without extra head nods and neck rolling and sarcasm. Yeah, we with all the extras.
Pot shots,
put that down.
getting below the belt, calling names. All of those things that we, if we heard our children disagreeing with one another, we would say, "Hold on, wait a minute, it's getting what's going on in there." So we have to set that same example. And yeah. And number 7 is to, and this was a hard one for me, is to don't take it personal. It's because, and I'm saying for me, because being the aggressor, when I'm reacting, not responding, but I'm reacting to maybe a complaint my wife had about a situation, about me, about whatever, the bills, I don't know, but it was a valid one, but I'm taking it personal. You felt attacked.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what did that person really mean it that way? We had another video where we actually asked you to have active listening, where you actually take a step back and be like, did that person really mean what they said? What I felt? Yeah,
did they mean what I felt? Because what I felt was...
Yeah.
So let me ask you, is this what you meant when you said such and such and such? Oh, no. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Oh, okay. Well, we really need to talk about this because I don't feel that way. Oh, gosh, we had so many moments. That's not what I said. It is what you said. That's exactly that is not what I said.
That's right.
But this is how I felt. Well, that's not what I meant. You did mean it that way because, and it just blows up into this ridiculous fight.
Yes.
And then you have to take all the time that it takes to wind yourself to, you've unwound from each other and you're pulling apart and you're unraveling. And now you got to go back and mend all of those little rips and tears and torn pieces. And it's not easy to do. And let me tell you something. When you say something, be sure of what you want to say. Yeah. Because you cannot take it back.
No matter if you want to say, I didn't mean to say it that way when you said it. It's out.
And did you really not? Because really out of the abundance of your heart, your mouth speaks. What's in you is going to come out. Now, it may be true that you didn't mean for me to hear it, that you didn't mean for it to come out like that, but something in there there's a foundation to what you said, Yeah. And it's hard to pull that back it's hard to pull that back. And the same pain, what I've learned is the same pain. I think I heard Dr. Brene Brown say this, but the same pain that we experience if we have a broken limb or if we get burned or something, the same things that fire in our brain and our emotions are the same things that fire when we are emotionally bruised.
Yeah.
It's the same. So don't say, well, I didn't mean it. I was just mad. Well, that's irresponsible. It's irresponsible.
It's when a person feels attacked, then parts of the body can start shutting down. Your body can start, I heard it starts producing cortisol, which is an alert chemical in your body. It's like, okay, we're in the attack.
I'm in defense mode.
Yeah, even senses, everything goes directly to defense. We're defending ourselves from this attack because in your mind you said, I'm being attacked. And so sometimes even rationale can kind of seem to go away because nope, that's not what happened. But you have to calm yourself down and get to the point where, like, hold on, we're not under attack. Ain't nobody out here.
There's no one out here.
I bet your body wish they could talk to you, but it's all bad.
Right, hey, calm down. There's nobody here.
She's not attacking you. That's not an attack. She asked why you keep leaving the toilet seat up. Why are you?
Because you put the toilet seat. I fell in like 3 times last week. Can you just close it? Well, you can close it yourself. Maybe we should just leave it up. Okay. Yeah. Well, what?
Yeah.
What?
And look. Recognize this. There's no such thing as a good fight. There's no such thing as a good fight. No,
we shouldn't fight. No. Fighting is battle. There should not be combat between a husband and a wife, between two people who love each other, between family. There should not be combat. We do not fight.
No.
Listen, we've had some opportunities to, but we turn them down. Nope.
Because the enemy is like, oh, the door wide open. Somebody left the barn open.
Oh, you gonna let him just say that?
It's like we found that out really easy, that a lot of our like intense arguments, disagreements, discussions, all those things happen when we just allow like the robe to come off or the gloves to come off, and it's just
pride.
Like, just pride. And it was like, okay, well, we're gonna yell, we're gonna fuss, we're gonna raise our all those things, and the enemy just seemed like he's just like, yeah, and what about this? And what about you?
Bruised egos. It's like, ooh, he said such and such. And this is the other thing, which is why we should court and have counseling before we get married. What is it that's behind the aggression?
Yeah.
What's in there? Because 9 times out of 10, even if that person doesn't express that aggression in other places where they can't necessarily get away with it, like work, church, et cetera, it's probably always in there. So what is it that makes them feel comfortable with exacting their anger on their loved one, on the person who's closest to them? What do you feel challenged? Do you feel disrespected? Do you feel afraid? Are you angry? Are you ashamed? What is underneath that?
The best way to deal with anger, I believe, is to deal with today's anger.
Yes.
What you're angry about now, deal with that today. Because most of the time with our spouse, they're dealing with yesterday's anger, last year's anger, years ago when I was a child anger, some unresolved anger that you had in your past, some hurtful feelings, some stuff you hadn't let go, you haven't got forgiveness for, you haven't gotten closure for, and they're coming up every time your spouse even kind of reminds you of something that has happened that you're so frustrated about, and now you brought all that anger from the past, and with this little bit of complaint.
That toilet seat up.
Yeah. With this little bit right here, you were like, no, people always been telling me what to do and how to live my life, and my daddy, he never paid attention to him, and my mom and my brother, oh wow. And now you're taking it all out on your spouse.
Yeah. I'm like, well,
you have to deal with today's issue today. That's for aggressive partner. And you're wondering, well, I understand you, Vince, I understand you, Val. How do I deal with my anger? Look, deal with today's anger today. And the best way I know to tell you to do that is to seek God It's a go to God. It's amazing how God says in Matthew 7:7, he says, ask and it shall be given, seeking you shall find, knocking the door shall be opened. Then he said it again. He says, for those that ask will receive, and for those that seek will find, and those that knock, the door will be. I'm trying to tell you. I'm telling you, the door will be open. So, Lord, I have this anger issue, and it keeps coming up. Okay, first of all, you asked him, I need help with this. Now seek him. Lord, oh, you over here. Lord, he's everywhere. But I'm just saying, you have to read and see what the word says about anger. See what the word says that you can do about, what you're supposed to have. It's not the gift of, what's the word?
Fruit of the Spirit.
The fruit of the Spirit. No, we're not talking about anger. But he said you have the fruit of the Spirit. That means if you do have joy, that means we should not have anger.
We shouldn't operate in it. It shouldn't control us, because his word also says be angry but sin not. Because there are things that will come and rile up your flesh, that will disturb your spirit. And it's okay for you to feel like, no, I don't want that. It's okay for you to be angry if someone's coming at you and they're, trying to hurt you and combat you. But is that generally, are we in a war? Are we at war with one another? No. Generally, you're not at war with your spouse, and you shouldn't be. And so, yes, ask for that help. Ask for that wisdom. As one of the best questions I ever asked the Lord was, will you please show me myself? Let me see who I am. Show me why I do what I do. This was many, many years ago. And he began to do just that. And when we deny, when we make excuse and say, well, it's because he, she, it, they, them, all of those things, they are the reason why I behave the way I behave. No, baby, no. You're responsible for the way that you behave. Now, maybe what someone has done triggers something in you, but you have to also remember to say that I'm triggered is not the excuse.
That's right.
When you're triggered, it's a reminder of something.
It's not an excuse.
So you have to deal with the emotion behind what triggered you, so you can take the sting out of the activity, which could occur in any situation. Take the sting out of that and take on the responsibility of generating, or not regenerating, but repositioning your thoughts, actions, or feelings based on the past. Don't let your past drive your future.
Amen.
Yeah.
So 7 tips we talked about: setting boundaries and goals that work for you and your spouse. 2 is seek outside help if needed. Use I messages, how I'm feeling, not so much what you made me do. Number 4 is validate their feelings. Yes, I see you're angry. I know you're upset. Take a chill. Avoid arguments at all costs. That was number 5. I know. We
didn't develop that, and I think it's important to talk about that, because if you say at all costs, there sometimes part of aggressive behavior is control, and that's I'm just going to shut myself off. I'm going to walk away. I'm leaving. We're not going to talk about it, especially if I can't have my way. Now that's that. When you get yourself together and you can do what I want you to do, then we can have a conversation. All of that can be said with just walking away. Yeah. And so when you don't want to avoid dealing with issues, you don't want to avoid confronting issues, but you want to avoid arguing. You want to avoid disagreeing, fighting, biting at each other with your words and with your attitudes. You want to avoid that. Yeah, we have to be able to have a conversation about it, because sometimes it can be one spouse that doesn't want to talk, doesn't want to talk about any issue. We really want to. I want to act like they don't exist. And if you bring it up, it's an argument because they were trying to forget it in the first place. Then it can be 2 people that actually do not like to talk. So now, okay, he don't want to talk about it. I don't want to make him talk about it. So we're just not going to. And it never gets resolved. And it's just the elephant in the room. Yes, we're not arguing though. No, we're good. This is not. I'm not saying avoid talking at all costs, but arguments. Talking about, again, an aggressive partner, someone that's
loud and they angry and they want to blame you for everything and they just want to raise their voice and no, okay. Understand all that, validate your feelings, everything. I'm using iMessage to how I feel, but we still have to have this conversation.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it.
But we do not need to keep arguing about everything. Everything doesn't have to be a argument, a court case. I'm the plaintiff, you're the defendant. No.
That's right, which leads us to number 6. Keep calm and negotiate. Negotiate, communicate your feelings. And then number 7, do not take it personally. Oftentimes when someone is offensive to you, it has more to do with them than it has to do with you. And I think it still goes back to communication. You still need to discuss it, because it took me too long to realize, it doesn't really have anything to do with me. It doesn't have anything to do with me, because I realized, you know what, no matter what I say or do, if I bring up something and he just doesn't like it, it's going to be a fight. It's going to be an argument. It's going to be a discussion. I could be right, wrong, indifferent. It doesn't matter. It's going to be that. And so the issue, one of the things that happened for us is that, we got to the point where we almost divorced. And I had to take a deeper look at myself, and he took a deeper look at himself too, and says, you know what, why am I doing this? Why am I about to dissolve my marriage and divide assets? Because I just want to be right. I want to have my way.
We can't talk. I can't listen to how she expressing herself, because I'm taking everything as a blame. And I'm not a talker. I know y'all saying, well, Vince, you do a lot of talking on this. Because I want to help people. My desire is to help people, and I have to share my testimony.
Right.
And the Lord got me out of that a long time ago. When he called me even to the ministry, he's like, long time, I have to talk. So here I go. It's not easy for me, but I love God and I love His people.
Yes. And you have so many good things to share, and it blesses me every time you open up and tell about our relationship, because granted, he talks about how he used to be aggressive, and we had issues even with emotional abuse, because what happens is if that aggression if it goes unchecked, it can become abusive.
That's right.
And even if the person doesn't the aggressor doesn't understand that, it doesn't change the way that it feels to the person who's receiving it. And so I want to make sure that we talk about, and we overcame that. He got the help that he needed to figure out how to handle his emotions so that it didn't become abusive to me. And when I say abusive, I did say emotional. It wasn't physical, but also sticks and stones do hurt. Yeah,
that was a form of abuse that I denied for a long time.
Yeah.
That I was. You said you're abusive to me. I'm like,
that made him so angry. It made him very angry to say, because he wouldn't ball up his fist and hit me. It's like, what do you mean? Why would you say that to me? It's like, I remember the first time I said it to you. It's like it almost brought him to tears. He's like, what? Why would you say that? He was so hurt by the fact that I said that. And I'm like, dude, I need you to understand your behavior. But we had done the dance for so long, it had just become a part of who we were. And it's like, no, this is just how we do. This is how people argue. And I'm like, no, bro, I'm tired. Listen, baby, I'm done. I'm done. And I understand that I can't change who you are. And this is what I said. I said, you can do anything you want to do, but you can't do it to me. And I'm done.
That was number 1, wasn't it? Set boundaries.
Yes. And it took way too long to do that.
It goes over.
But I thank God, because we were able to communicate and we were able to stick through it. And he was able to show me myself, and he was able to show him himself.
Amen.
I dare not leave this session without expressing this. If aggression turns to abuse, that is not what we're talking about. We're talking about aggressive behavior.
No.
We're not talking about abusive behavior, which should not be condoned.
No.
And it should not be tolerated. And oftentimes, what needs to happen is you need to have a third party involved and get some help. And do not tell yourself, well, I just have to take it. And do not tell yourself that he or she deserves it, because no one deserves to be mistreated.
No one should tolerate physical abuse from someone they love.
Right. Abuse of any kind.
Yeah, that's true. Mm-hmm. That's true. Well, you talked about the emotional abuse, and we was trying to work some stuff out. But,
right.
I mean, yeah. We're not talking about... Stick with it. He hit you. And
he's a good man. He works hard. Yeah, he worked hard at punching me in my face.
That's for you to decide.
It's over.
We're not giving tips on physical abuse.
No, we're not.
I'm trying to help you deal with that person that just want to blame you for everything, want to talk loud, and want to, disrupt the whole environment. The whole temperature of the whole house.
Yeah.
We're talking about that person.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow, this was good, baby.
Yes. It's very necessary, because many couples go through this. They go through the arguments and the aggression, and then they spend a lot of their time trying to find their way back to each other, or they slowly drift apart from each other, and they spend years and years and years in marriage relationships together, but not really relating to one another.
That's right. Right. So, like as I stated before, if that's you or that's someone that please send them this video, or we watch it for yourself, and share with someone. And I think this is the great way to spread this message. And we need your help to do it. We're so glad that you tuned in.
Yeah.
Leave us a comment if you learned something, or you have questions. We'll read every last one of them.
Yes, and we'll respond.
We'll respond. So we thank you so much for taking the time out your day.
Yes, thank you so much. Until next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you, be gracious to you, and give you peace. We'll see you next time on Couples Pursuit Live.
Bye.